Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Yeah. Jesus.
Martial arts chat.
My man B-Hop got dropped out the ring last night. I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Ron. Let's give me up.
You see what filming this? You've got a face for radio.
I've got a face for radio.
That's nice.
Martial arts chat.
Hello, I'm John Boy McElroy. Welcome to the Martial Arts Chat podcast. The Roundtable returns for some reaction from this past weekend.
Martial arts.
It's UFC 241 in the books. What a night of fights. Later in the show, answering your fan questions with a panel here tonight. Thank you so much, everybody that got in touch. But before I introduce the panel, just a quick shout out to our sponsors, A1 Fight Gear. A1 Fight Gear use the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional and amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts, and kickboxers. Local and national gyms in the UK, do yourselves a favour. Check out A1FightGear.com. If you want to get in shape, get back in shape, or just keep trimming the fat off, then go to beastgear.co.uk. Use the coupon code MartialArtsChat, and if you do that, you'll save 15% off your purchases with core sliders, straps, barbell pads, strength and conditioning programs at different levels to suit your needs. So beast your goals with beastgear.co.uk. We're sponsored by Feel Supreme. FeelSupreme.co.uk offers CBD oil and natural nutrition. They'll assist your diet and lifestyle. They offer natural supplements and complementary services such as yoga, mind coaching and weight cutting programs. Finally, we're also sponsored by World of Martial Arts Television. Woma.tv produces, finds, acquires, commissions and presents all you ever wanted to know about martial arts. So to our panel here this evening from MMA Huddle, always delighted to have him on. It's Mr. John Ferguson. John, how you doing, sir?
Absolutely grand after a stellar quality main event, which was a good card overall, but yeah, it was just great fun, wasn't it?
Lots of fun, man, and can't wait again with you, mate. And also returning to the show from the MMA shower, always a pleasure to have him on. It's my man G. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, good evening yourself, John, and it's great to be back, and thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure, and gentlemen, 3 fights to get some reaction to. We'll start with the middleweight bout. Soldier of God, Paulo Costa. Incredible start, man, both guys getting dropped. Costa pushing the pace, which I was surprised at for, well, I was going to say majority of the fight, majority of the 2 rounds at least. It was close, but I think in the end probably the right decision. Let's hear the panel's thoughts. We'll start with John on this one. John, do you think it was a correct decision for you, and your thoughts on the fight, mate?
I do think it was the right decision. Like you say, there's a combination of reasons why I think he won. The aggression was one. The output, I think he had a greater output in the first 2 rounds anyway. Right. For example, I think at the end of the second, Yoel got a takedown, but that's not enough to steal a round. There was nothing came of it because literally the bell had rang. Yeah. I just thought overall, for the full 15 minutes, the damage Costa seems to show a bit of damage. It's happened in the Uriah Hall fight as well. But man, that dude, I was surprised. I thought he would gas hard, a lot harder. Same. But he still had a good output. And what was great, he was mixing up the shots, body shots as well as the head shots. He was really good with mixing it up, kind of throwing Yoel Romero off. The takedown attempts from Yoel, he was doing good to reverse him to get back to his feet overall. I was pretty impressed. I know they talk about a title fight maybe. Look, Israel got a title fight pretty quick, so I would not be bothered if Paulo Costa got a title fight after this. Because the middleweight division is still a bit up in the air. And for me, Yoel, I'd like to see him back. I'd like to see him at 205.
Yeah, that's the rumour in it, especially when it wasn't by much, but he missed weight in the last in the rematch. With Whittaker. Yeah. And there was calls for him to move up to light heavyweight. I mean, he's not exactly. I mean, he's big. Don't get me wrong. He certainly fills out that frame. But is he in terms of stature? Is he big for light heavyweight? I can't imagine him against a John Jones or whatever. The disparity in height and reach. I don't know, but he is what he is, though, man. He's a phenomenal athlete. What he's well in his 40s now, isn't he? So, still just shows superb athleticism, and I think in a losing effort he probably gained more fans if he didn't have already, but certainly a great scalp for sure, man. Gee, what about you? What did you make of this one, and what do you think next for Costa? Do you think he's in line for this 185 belt after they get it done down under?
Yeah, I mean this was a colossal battle. It reminded me of King Kong versus Godzilla. I'm not sure which is which, but Costa was huge on the weigh-ins. I think he's 6'2", 6'3", and Romero's 6 foot. But he seemed a good 10 pounds heavier than Romero. But Romero's lost 3 fights at the last 4, and the 3 losses have been decisions. So there must be something about his style. Maybe it's that relax, explode, that the judges don't capture his explosions enough to give him the round.
Yeah.
And the other frustrating thing for me was when, especially in the 3rd round, when he was getting the better of Costa pretty easily, he was tapping and sort of exploding. He had him up against the cage and he just wouldn't take him down. And even when Costa tried to bit of showboating, put his hands on his hips, did the soldier of God salute, blah, blah, blah. I was just screaming, double take, double leg. But it's easier said than done. Costa's a monster. He's a very well all-rounded fighter. He's got submissions on his record. And like John said, when he did get taken down once or twice, one time he did get back up, and I think he reversed it as well. And I remember when Costa fought Johnny Hendricks. I know Johnny Hendricks was on way down from his previous, but another elite wrestler. Johnny Hendricks didn't try to take him down. So maybe Costa's got that style that you can't just go in because he's got all these other weapons. So I think Costa's ready. I think he'll make a good fight with Adesanya or Whittaker.
For sure, man, absolutely. Guys, co-main event, we finally saw Nate Diaz step back in the cage after a lengthy 3-year layoff, man. But pressure boxing in the clinch, tidy ground game, bit of smack talk. It was just everything you expect from a Diaz performance. Calls him Masvidal in his victory speech. And I don't think there's anyone that doesn't want to see that fight. I certainly want to see it for sure. And it looks like the UFC are going to make that happen. We'll start with G this time. G, your thoughts on Diaz and his return, and was it everything you expected in this one?
Yeah, it was like you said. It was a complete Diaz package. The trash talking, the attitude, and the fight itself. What surprised? Well, in a way, it surprised me, and in a way, it didn't. He sort of wrestled Pettis up against the fence and started his dirty boxing. And I wasn't expecting that much of sort of grappling or wrestling, stand-up wrestling from Diaz. But Pettis, I think that the fight analysis is going to be skewed because Pettis broke his foot. I think it was in the 1st round, maybe second round.
Aye.
Yeah, and I think Diaz checked it, and Pettis' leg wobbled. So did that take 30-40% off Pettis? Because kicking is one of his main weapons. He's a Taekwondo triple black belt, whatever, and he's shown super kicks throughout his career. But Diaz, he won. He nicely done his promo for the next fight, which is, like you said, Masvidal, and he called it the baddest MF motherfucker on the planet belt. And how could you, the numbers are there. If you look at Masvidal's numbers, he's gone through the roof when he KO'd Ben Askren. Diaz, since McGregor, he's come back and showing he doesn't need McGregor, so why not?
For sure, man, absolutely, and it's good that he called out Masvidal, because Masvidal, prior to this and just after his knockout, they were calling for it with Masvidal and Leon Rocky Edwards. And don't get me wrong, man, I love me some Leon Edwards, but I just think I feel like that was a step back for him. But Masvidal now, if he can't get a title shot, he needs something box office. And Diaz jumped in and helped a brother out there. So,
and that's exactly what Masvidal said. If it's not the belt, it's a big payday.
Yeah, and that's what he deserves. Especially after, Darren Till was phenomenal in itself. And then you got the old 3-piece with soda backstage. That was icing on the cake. And then you've got, like we all saw around the world, Ben Askren flying knee. Fastest ever KO. So, he deserves, we say the word deserves a lot in the podcast, but this guy's deserving of something big time for the graft he's put in, not only over a lengthy career, but in particularly, he's the fight of the year so far. He's the highlight really of 2019. So
it may not be deserved in the classical sense, but it may be. You set things up for yourself, your fighting style, your promos, outside, inside, and that's a whole package. And Masvidal's bought it in the last year or so. So, like you say, I would use the word deserve.
For sure, man. John, how about you? Your thoughts on the fight and a potential matchup with Masvidal and Diaz here?
The fight itself, yeah, it was a shame about the foot break. It was like Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo. When Demetrius Johnson's foot went, kind of took away a huge asset for Demetrius Johnson. The same here with Anthony Pettis. A lot of his kind of arsenal was really knocked out of the park there. It would have been a far more engaging fight because Diaz would have had to deal a lot more with Pettis, movement, kicks. He would have had to close down a bit more, I feel. But and you could see it, Pettis was just kind of a bit passive aggressive in some points because he just had to. But Diaz, came in, did well. I thought that he could have maybe stayed a little bit further out than he did dirty boxing. Would have thought it'd be nice if he stepped about half step back and just start letting 1-2s come out and a little body shots, etc., just to kind of pour on a bit more. But he got the win. For Diaz to get a win, it's a good thing. Because for him, money wise, but the UFC, that's what it's all about. You've got not just if you got the Masvidal fight, it does kind of help if they want to try and sell. Don't forget. TMZ put that little Conor McGregor incident in the bar during the same fight week, and that was an incident from April. Now TMZ and the UFC are all cushy together. That all comes out on fight week. Why couldn't it have come out this week? Because it's all about marketing. You drop that McGregor little hint in. Diaz gets the win. You've got Jorge Masvidal and Conor McGregor, 2 options for Diaz. That's big money fights. It's good for them.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think we spoke about it in the last show, and I'm sure it's a couple of times that recently on the Roundtable that 2019's lacking something big, and there doesn't seem to be anything big on the horizon. I mean, I know they're doing Khabib out in Abu Dhabi there. John Jones is he's not got a big box office dance partner, has he really? With all due respect to Thiago Santos and things like that. But but with a Diaz Masvidal, I mean, you could slap that on a main event. Let's be honest. That could be a pay-per-view where the main event, it doesn't need a title. That's how big that fight could be. So that'll sell for sure. You put that on with something else equally as big, or even something that just doesn't have a title on it, then you've got yourself probably 500,000 pay-per-view buys. I reckon it's going to be something exciting. I would like to see it in Madison Square Garden, something like that. Give it a big prestige event, that kind of thing. But we'll see what the future holds. But definitely looking forward to that fight, guys. Time for the main event then. So it's Anu DC on his way to victory there until body shots made the difference in the 4th round. Stipe regained his title. Looking likely now that DC will retire. I know they never announced it, whatever, but I mean, I think that's probably what's going to be on the cards. But I don't really know what's left to him. But there's always the John Jones thing. But I don't know. See what would be the point. I think just go out now. But who knows? Let's get the guys' reactions here. We'll start with John this time. John, your thoughts on the new heavyweight champ and the fight itself, sir?
I kind of like Stipe winning. If I'm overall from a kind of heavyweight platform perspective, because if he lost, then you've got to find 2 guys to challenge for the heavyweight title, because most likely DC would have retired on a high.
For sure.
And now at least you've got DC out the way. You don't have a vacant belt, and you have Stipe as champ. You could rematch Francis again as an option, but at least there's a bit of stability now, because DC was adamant that he was stepping away. So you kind of had to think about the UFC obviously had a backup plan if DC had won, but Stipe winning's a good thing, and he showed a bit of fight IQ. He was good in the fight. I thought I was really surprised of DC's game plan, if I'm honest with you. I would have, Stipe came in lighter, which meant he was trying to use more speed, athleticism. Lost about 12 pounds from the last one. He looked sharper, conditioning-wise, it helped. And I thought Daniel Cormier could have just opted for a bit more wrestling. I thought, why not take advantage of that? Get your weight. You're the heavier fighter. Get him down. Get on top of him like you did in the first. And just use your weight. Just score the point. But he had this weird kind of obsessive game plan to come forward, put his hands, taking shots that he didn't need to, really. But yeah, man, Stipe winning. It's a good thing for that heavyweight division, and kind of helps cement himself a bit more as the greatest heavyweight champ, Stipe, coming back and getting that title, because Cain Velasquez came back, Stipe's came back, and I think Stipe's starting to push Cain Velasquez out of the way.
Yeah, you're right. It does a lot for his legacy, right? I mean, he already holds that record for the most title defences, and you're absolutely right. Come back to beat the guy that took the title from you, and come back and finish him as well. And a fight that he was. He wasn't. I know what you're saying. Like DC had I think DC had his hands high, and he was just looking to sort of zombie walk into the clinch, because the clinch is what got him the finish last time, And yeah, he was eating shots, but you saw the state of Stipe's face. I mean, he was probably thinking to himself. I mean, I don't know what is in his head, but I would imagine he's thinking to himself, looking at his handiwork and admiring the fact that Stipe's face is a mess, and I just all it takes is for me to eat a couple of shots on the way in, and I've got this guy. It's only a matter of time. Especially when he picked him up as well, that pick up and the slam and whatever else. There was nothing really that made me think that this was Stipe's fight until those body shots, man, and it was the same one, wasn't it, over and over again? It was that left hook to the body.
Yeah.
And it did the damage, man. A couple of those, and then the tide had definitely turned for sure. Gee, your thoughts on the fight and how about those body shots, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that was the turning point. But I agree with John Ferguson. It's good that Stipe won, because I reckon if DC had won, he would have retired on a high. Never lost a heavyweight champion at light heavy, and he would have sailed off into the sunset a very happy man. Options for the heavyweight, possibly a third fight trilogy. That could always be an option.
Yeah.
But it depends on DC, and obviously Francis is the other option as well. It was. I mean, I'm going to use an old football saying or soccer saying for your American listeners. It was like a game of two halves. So the first two rounds were definitely, obviously, DC. He was punching Stipe at will. He was walking through his punching. He wasn't respecting any punches from Stipe. And then, like you said, John, he picked him up, and I thought he was going to throw him over the top rope or something.
Yeah.
WWE style. He was like, held him there for a good 5 seconds, and then just dumped him. Then sort of midway through the third round, Stipe started getting his timing, and you could sense a bit of a sea change, and obviously in the fourth round he hit him, and I think he said in his interviews when he got him with the first one, he felt Cormier wince, and then again, John Jones, I think in the second Cormier fight, or maybe the first one, he said he would target Cormier's body because it would slow him down, because Cormier is such a pressure fighter, and he is a very good all-round kickboxer, Cormier. He wanted to slow him down. And I've just noticed that no one's mentioned, and I'm not sure this is a legitimate argument, but I'm just putting it out there, DC's body shape. Had he been more rock solid, would he have felt those body shots? That's open to conjecture, but that's just my feeling, If he was more rock hard, would he be able to take the body shots better?
I mean, he's always had that. He's never been ripped, has he? Even light heavyweight or otherwise. Yeah. I don't know, man.
No one's destroyed him by the body before.
No, definitely not. That's right. I remember John Jones. I do remember him doing a post fight, and maybe it was of the second fight, and he was, I think he was targeting the body to get him to drop his hands for the head kick. Yes. I'm sure that's what it said. And perfect game plan, of course.
Yeah, and he reminded me of Morales versus Henry Cejudo, when Morales in the first round was destroying Henry Cejudo. And I think it finished in the second or maybe third round. Then Cejudo somehow just turned it around like Stipe, just like fighter IQ, inspiration in the heat of battle. Your perception hasn't been blurred, or whatever these guys do in the fight. They just turned it around.
And he's turned it right up for the cringe factor as well, Cejudo, isn't he? My God, man. I was thinking about, for our end of year awards show, we should do a cringe award, but I'm not sure if it's who we got. Colby Covington's got to be in there, right? Cejudo.
Yeah, Kobe, Ferguson, but Cejudo's got gold medal for the cringe as well, I think.
He's up there for sure, man. Okay, guys, it's time for my final part of the show. My favourite, answering fan questions. Just remind you guys of the one rule: don't wait your turn. The floor is yours, guys, and we'll start with Twitter this week. So we've got at Elf for Elf asking, with Conor smacking about old guys over his whiskey, isn't this all publicity to keep him relevant after all that happened back in April? So, John, you kind of mentioned that it was convenient, I suppose, that they put it in the fight week. It did happen quite a while back. A deliberate move on whoever released it. TMZ, was it?
Yeah, TMZ. Yeah, 100% deliberate. It's just all marketing. You know, the UFC have their connections there, and it's all a marketing ploy. You know, they could have released it this week after the event when, you know, there's not much going on, but they don't. They release it conveniently before that. You know, and they suddenly see the numbers go up for all the Diaz videos, and it's just a smart marketing ploy.
Yeah, it's a cozy relationship, TMZ and UFC. They both got 3 letters, coincidentally. Yeah, I mean, with Conor's shenanigans, I haven't got much to say. But what did interest me was Khabib's reaction, and it probably shows you the country that you live in. He said it's disgusting, blah blah blah, but then he said the government should smash him. Send in the tanks, but
there you go.
That's perception. Yeah.
Wow, there you go then. At Aronish Jackson, what does a win over DC mean for Stipe's legacy? Does it erase the first loss, or does he need to do the trilogy a la Kane/DDS?
I think Stipe is the greatest. I think John Jones tweeted that as well. 2-time heavyweight champion, come back from losing a fight, you know, that he easily could have lost if he went 5 rounds. So for me, yeah, he's the greatest heavyweight.
Fair enough. I mean, there's always that discussion in it, and it's hard with the heavyweights, especially in the UFC. But you know, if you do your like people like to say, do around Mount Rushmore or whatever, I mean, you probably got to have Fedor in there. Not Fedor, Bellator years, obviously, but the Pride years. Cain Velasquez in his prime for sure, man. He could destroy anyone. He destroyed his own body. That's how much of a destructional force he is. I mean, could you put Verdum in that bracket? I guess not, because Stipe sparked him out.
But then again, you know, you got to think Francis Ngannou stopped Cain Velasquez. That doesn't really put Francis in there. I think that Verdum could potentially be up there. He stopped Fedor. He came and did great. He's done great things for Fabrizio Verdum over the years. When you look at the kind of accomplishments he's come up with, but if you look at Stipe, he avenged his loss to Junior Santos by knocking him out. They lost that decision originally, but then you also look at. I know he lost to Stefan Struve. That was a while back, but he's not going to ever get a chance to, bring that back. So that's just
different class now.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look, he went and stopped Verdum, Reem, Junior Santos, Francis Ngannou, and Daniel Cormier. That's not bad 5. That's not a bad 5. There's a rack off the top of your head.
That's true.
And the heavyweight division is so hard that Stipe's record is based on 3 defences.
Yeah, that shows you how.
Exactly. When you go welterweight, John Jones 10, 12, St. Pierre 10, Mighty Mouse 12 defences. Yeah, heavyweight's so hard to do 3 defences against guys that can knock you out in seconds. It's yeah, he's definitely the best, or one of the best. Yeah,
he continues to get better the older he got. But then I think Verdum did as well. Verdum was always a submission guy, and then I remember the first fight with Travis Brown, just put on a striking clinic in that fight. So he's another guy, I suppose, evolved as he got older. But certainly Stipe, man, he's, like you said, completely different fighter from that Stefan Struve loss. But that Stefan Struve loss, watch that back, man. I remember that fight. He kind of slipped as he get caught. No one ever seems to remember that if you just watch that. I think it was probably on his way to either getting dropped, but I don't think getting slipped and getting cracked at the same time's going to help you not get back off the canvas, And Struve was all motivated, I'm sure. I think his father died that week or something, so there was plenty of fire in his belly to go and get the job done. But anyway, I digress. It's MMA math, in it. You can get lost in that equation, so to speak. We've got Artem Gotov on Twitter saying, apart from McGregor, is Diaz the biggest draw for the casual fans right now, or does Khabib, Jones, or some other fighter hold that title?
I'd say Diaz is, because if you look, the numbers don't lie. You know, you look at the UFC fight, what you call it, the the preview cards. What do they call them? Countdowns.
Countdown shows.
They call them countdowns.
They do well.
Yeah, look, I'll put it this way: do the countdown. So, oh my gosh, if you've not seen it online, it's insane. So, the title fight, the main event, got something like 600,000.
Right.
The co-main event got, I think, over 2 million.
Wow.
I think just like an insane amount of numbers. It was, it was just bonkers. And Diaz, and that's the Diaz factor. You know, that's what he does. He just brings out these huge numbers, huge fans, and hey, look, that's why he's making money still, and that's why the UFC still try to get him back, because it's what they do.
Do you think, how well do you think this pay-per-view did with Diaz on the card and all that he brings?
It'll do. The cards aren't always doing great, though. I think it'll do good numbers, but I don't think it's going to be as great as people think. They've not done great numbers this year, have they? From what I can see,
it's been very poor. It's been very poor, and they've been trying to get that UK money as well, haven't they? And I don't think anyone's up for that.
I think they'll struggle upper 400,000, maybe. With Diaz coming back, might hit the 500,000 mark. But,
500,000, though. I mean, especially with this year, dare I say it, this day and age, that ain't too bad. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm out of touch, but I think that's all right, all things considered. I may be wrong, but
yeah, I agree with John there, John Ferguson, about the embedded. If you look at Diaz's numbers, I'm looking at 1.5 million, 3.5 million. That was just his interviews. So and if you look at embedded, the way, and I think in the Wayne's video, they showed Diaz's car coming in and he's getting out with his crew and really built in him coming into the arena. I think the ceremonial Wayne's. Yeah,
I suppose, man. It's easy to market him when he shows up.
That does help. Yeah. It does help that you don't show up, because it creates that sort of aura of unpredictability and craziness.
That's true. It adds to the prestige, doesn't it? I mean, I put a comment out saying that, you know, gone are the days of if you don't show up, Uncle Dana doesn't give you the fight, and that's what he did with Nick Diaz. Remember back in the day, he had the GSP fight. I mean, it's money talks now, so.
And then Connor did it once as well.
That's right. Yeah, no show that for sure. Facebook questions. Blaine David, under what circumstances would you make any fight besides Diaz and Masvidal?
Yeah, the trilogy with McGregor.
It's got to be in it.
Yeah, that's the obvious one. Yeah,
and I'd make more money, you know. But then again, you could do a title fight with Jorge Masvidal fighting the winner of Colby and Newsman.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily giving Diaz a fight, but then again, it's an option for Jorge. If I'm Jorge, I'd probably take the title fight.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, but I think you're going to get better pay, or more pay-per-view buys. I don't know if that makes a better pay if you're fighting Diaz than you are fighting Usman or Colby Covington. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you get, but with the when you win the title, there's contract renegotiations, your pay changes as well for the next fight, and there's there's the one-off payments. Exactly. There's external kind of incomes that come with it. So I'm not saying Jorge's that fussed about it, but at the same time, I don't think Jorge would whinge about the paycheck.
No, I suppose.
Well, he's been in the game a long time, Jorge. He's 16 years or 15 years, and up until the last two fights, I wouldn't call him a journeyman, but he was 50-50 on his record, in the last 8 fights. Everyone knew he was tough where he came up from, backstreet fights, back garden fights or whatever, but he wasn't really shining. But the Darren Till and Ben Askren, because Ben had that built up such a persona and following, that Jorge has just fed off that and used it to his advantage. So more power to him.
No, definitely, and the finishes, my God, they help for sure. He's not had a great record I remember when he first came over from Strikeforce, but there was a couple of dodgy ones, man. Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, who's your boy Reginald? I remember watching that fight and thinking, well, he got robbed in the decision. Was Ben Henderson? I'm sure maybe was another one as well.
And Al Quinter in the UFC.
Yeah, that's right. So, and I think that's what sickened him into sort of moving up to to welterweight.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because he fought Damian Maia and lost.
Split decision, wasn't it?
Yeah. He did get taken down, and Maya was on an incredible run then as well. Maya was just submitting everybody. But I mean, the finish over Cowboy was solid. The Wonder Boy one was I think he just took the day off for that one. I remember that was a poor show. But yeah, this year
that was like stalemate, wasn't it? Yeah.
This year he's just been on fire. Well, Wonder Boy's a hard puzzle to figure out. I mean, look at Woodley and how boring that second fight was. Like, sometimes you've just got to wait for the guy to go, even if he's not doing anything but fakes and feints. You know, sometimes
you got to fight ugly to win. It's not about the fans sometimes, it's just about getting that W.
Yeah, you got to block out those boos, haven't you? Mick Tully asks, should Diaz versus Masvidal be for the hardcore belt? In the cage, Nate was talking about a belt OG division.
Well, would they produce a physical belt, or would it just be a metaphorical
the OG
gangster belt?
The gangster belt, I like it.
Diamonds and
dollar signs. Then it's went full blown WWE if it hasn't already. Gimmick belts. Saying that though, man, that new UFC belt's still horrific. I know it was cool to shit on it, but even when I saw it at the weekend there, I was like, my God, man, this. Oh.
How could you cheapen something like that? You know, I mean, UFC is a young sport, 30 years, 27 years, whatever, and it hasn't got a lot of history, but the original belt gave you that history. And when you look at the boxing belts, WBC, I think in particular, they have all the ex-champions or the legends on the belt.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so you got to give that history feel. But this belt is like what you buy for your kid on Christmas or something.
It is. It really is, man. It does. It looks like a kid's toy. You're right. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Power Ranger belt, they said, right? That's what Covington called it. Michelle McEwen, gutted Mike Beltran cut the braids. Love that beard. It's just not the same. Yeah, I saw that, man. That big referee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird.
His trademark's gone.
It is. That's a trademark. That's what it is.
How's that thing never got in the way, though? That's what I've always wondered. Because that beard was down to his knees, was it not? It was a...
He must be a biker, yeah.
Practitioner of jiu-jitsu as well.
No, really? Pff, God, can you imagine? Imagine his one guard.
Easy submission. Yeah, pull his beard.
That's it, exactly.
I think he's like a brown belt or something. He's legit. He's like not just like off the cuff. He's like legit. Decent at it. Yeah.
That's brilliant, man. I need to see if I can find a video of him on the mats. That'd be awesome.
Just choking you with his moustache.
I do love that beard though. I'm gutted it's gone, man. But hey ho. Jim Reed, where does it leave Jones, Cormier 3, light heavyweight, as they want, and Dana doesn't?
I think it's disappeared, to be honest. Cormier won't come back to 205, so I think it's disappeared.
I don't mind it disappearing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think we've seen it enough after. I know the second one was the no contest or whatever, but I mean, DC said it himself post-fight. It's not that much of a rivalry if I can't beat him, so... that one's gone. But I mean, you look at John Jones, although I said this before the Thiago Santos fight, and probably again after Gustafsson before Anthony Smith, I don't know who's there for him at light heavyweight. Who we got? Maybe Bakovic, Reyes, maybe. We'll see how things go with Weidman.
Johnny Walker.
I've heard people saying that, but I mean, I think, yes, somewhere down the line, maybe end of next year or something, but if you put him in just now, it's just too soon. And do you put him in just now because there's not anything else there?
Well, Rockhold was going to be the great white hope for light heavyweight, but obviously he's gone back to modelling now with a broken jaw. With
a broken jaw and a blue sock. That's right. So I don't know.
There's some good options, like you say. You could have... what's his face? Jan Blachowicz is an option. Yeah. I think he's one. Dominic Reyes has got a fight coming up, hasn't he? Who's he?
Weidman, I'm sure. Chris Weidman.
No, Luke. Is it over Chris Weidman? I think he'll go through Chris Weidman.
Oh, aye.
And if you do, and if Reyes wins, I'd stick Reyes in. Why not? Yeah. I think you got Reyes, Bell, and then you got. I think Johnny Walker's an option, but I'd give Johnny Walker someone like. What's his name? Oh gosh, he lost via OSP via head kick. Wrestler Corey Anderson.
Corey Anderson, right?
I'd do Corey Anderson, Johnny Walker, and then let that play out.
Isn't Corey Anderson fighting someone?
It could be. There's too many bloody fights to remember now.
Who just sparked out Air Latifi? That's what I would give to Johnny Walker. Was it your man No Time? Was it?
Ozdemir, yeah.
I mean, I think that'd be the next fight for him. Someone in that region. Not straight to Jones yet, but let's see how he does against kind of like what they did with Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero. You're not giving him the title, but you're giving him the guy that could be a stepping stone to that title picture. And if you do it in convincing fashion, then they're happy to book it. I think that's what should be on that and No More Dodgy Celebrations probably is the best advice I can give to.
I've just read that Corey Anderson versus Johnny Walker is in the works with UFC 240.
I mean, I'd like to see it.
That's the fight I'd think as well, because I want to see if Corey can apply the wrestling to someone like Johnny Walker, and then obviously see how Johnny Walker deals with wrestling.
I mean, Yoel Romero, if he does go up to light heavyweight, is that someone you could insert?
There's some fights there for him. Potential rematch with Luke Rockhold. If Rockhold gets to winning.
But he was saying in interviews he's got this brotherly love with John Jones and he'll never fight him, so that sort of kills that. I don't know where they get it from, but maybe I think they've got the same manager and but he was saying he's got some mad respect for John Jones, but he naturally looks like a light heavyweight, and it seems to make sense from the outside.
The rumour was that they had the same chemist for a while as well, but that's all allegedly. We've got one more from Facebook, guys, before we wrap up. Gary Somerville says, I'd like to talk about the salaries. From what I seen, Stipe netted 750,000 to show. Diaz got 250,000 to show. I think that's ridiculous considering Diaz was the attraction on the card. Yeah, quite right, mate.
It's not about the individual card, though, is it? Like, that's for Stipe. It was a contract he had written a while back. But also, you got to remember, we don't see the pay-per-view buys. Stipe might be on a higher salary, but, Nate Diaz might have pay-per-view points going his way.
How does that work? I never understand that. So pay-per-view points, you get a percentage of how much is bought as well, right?
You'll get X amount from that each pay-per-view in your pocket. So if they sell 100,000, you might get, it only sounds like 10 cents off it, but accumulate that by 200,000 pay-per-views, 600,000 pay-per-views, 800,000 pay-per-views. It starts to add up really quick. Suddenly starts to go into the millions, and that's what Conor does. That's all it is. That's why they only want pay-per-views, because they get if they get those pay-per-view points, then it goes up. So that's something that Diaz could have in writing, and but we wouldn't know that. We don't know what his contract is. And I reckon
the pay that they publish is like a base salary.
That is a base, that is it.
Then, like salespeople, you sell commission.
Yeah.
Like you said, Diaz's commission could be double what Stipe earns. So
you wouldn't even know you wouldn't even find out.
Yeah, because they don't have to publish that. That's in personal. But I still don't think UFC fighters get paid enough. How dangerous is the sport?
Nowhere near.
It's a fraction of what they could if it wasn't based on one promoter owning executive rights, TV rights, blah blah blah.
And they manipulate the fighters. Like he said about the boxing, didn't he? Dana said, "Oh, we'll work it out so people get paid right." I'm like, you can't pay people right in the UFC. So what world do you think you're going to pay boxers the same amount? Right, your man. He's not going to make any success in that world.
Do you? Do they still pay 10 and 10 to?
Yes.
I mean, that's disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
Disgusting, isn't it? And that's if you win, you get the 20.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
If you lose, you get 10. Then you've got to pay for your taxes, depending on which country you're in. Even in the US, you get higher taxes. And then you've got to pay your coaches, your nutritionists, if you hire them, etc. So you've got all these bills. Eventually, it comes down only to a couple of thousand, if that.
If you're lucky.
So that's if you're lucky. So if you fight 3 times in a year and you lose, you've not even earned the equivalent of a part-time job.
And a concussion and in the bargain as well, probably.
Yeah.
You could have got more money waiting tables or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but then you get punch people in the face though, so I don't know. Every cloud, I suppose. Maybe not. I'm trying to end this show on a high. Anyway, but guys, UFC 241 in the books. Thanks to everyone who got in touch. Thank you so much for your questions. They were awesome. And let me thank the panel here today, starting with my man G. G, let everyone know about the MMA Shower, where to check out your work, and maybe what you've got coming up in the horizon, sir.
Yeah, there's on Facebook, Let's Talk MMA, and on Twitter, at the MMA Shower, and yeah, hopefully have a fighter interview next month, and that should be quite exciting. So thank you for inviting me on the show, John. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, and hopefully I'll have you on my podcast soon.
Anytime, man, you let me know. To John Ferguson, John, always a pleasure for your time, mate. Let everyone know about MMA Huddle and what you guys have got coming up as well, mate.
We are just doing our thing, same breakdowns with me and my boy Will. It's podcast keeps growing, it's great. You know, numbers are flying up a lot more than we thought, and it's just great having the fans. You know, people joining the conversation. That's what it is. It's a community, and that's what we like to build up. So, love being on here, chatting to you guys, and that's all it is about.
Pleasure, man, and you do great stuff. Keep up the good work for sure. If you've liked this podcast, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or just all the platforms, man. Just search for Martial Arts Chat, you'll find us there. Go to facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat. You can give us a wee like there, and we're on Twitter as well. It's at Martial Arts Chat. I'm John Boy McElroy. Catch you next time on the Roundtable.
Change your heart.